Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Wins and Lessons. We win some and we learn some. This podcast is about being a dad. It's about the fears, failures, fun, and everything else that comes with fatherhood.
Yeah, this episode we sat down with a gentleman that you may know if you go to this church. You see him nearly every Sunday at the front door.
Yeah.
Biggest smile, full of life and joy. Bruce Peterson sat down with us, and we had a good conversation.
Yeah, today we talk a little bit about what it's like for him to be a dad and maybe some of the mistakes he made. You talked about stability, and we talked about kind of all the little things you do in being a dad that kind of make a lasting change. So Bruce is a great dude, a positive energy to pick us up, and it's a good episode, and we hope you like it.
Yeah, enjoy.
So, first of all, maybe I was talking to Bruce a little bit, but it's been a couple months since maybe me and you did one of these, right?
Sure. Yep.
And every time I come in to do it, as I was saying outside, Bruce, I have this. This is Monday. We're recording on a Monday, and I always have this feeling of being like the world's biggest hypocrite because I kid you not, this is what I did over the weekend. Over the weekend, I'm like the worst father in my own eyes.
Sure.
And then I come in here and I'm supposed to talk about, being a bad dad or whatever. But, this weekend, my wife wanted to put a lamp for Mother's Day. So I was like, I'll do it, and it took me like 6 hours, and I'm screaming at the kids because I can't figure it out. I can't do this. And I'm screaming at the kids, and I'm screaming at my wife, and I do that for the whole weekend. And now it's like,
let's talk about
being awesome dads.
No,
and
man.
so the really truth of the matter is most of the time I feel like a horrible dad, right? And you could translate that into like horrible human being, like a disciple of Jesus, like the whole thing. So this is not a podcast about two guys who are the world's best dad, right? It's one guy who's the world's best dad over here.
No.
But it's two guys who really have no idea what they're doing, but want to do a better job, right? And so I think that, who was it that had that phrase, ear hustle?
Jerry
Valentin. He had this phrase, ear hustle, right? About learning from people around us. And that's really our intent here, is to try to ear hustle as much as we can and pick up some encouragement. I mean, this is probably more for us than anybody else.
To learn. We all want to learn from each other, right? And so we're trying to glean from other dads, and in those conversations, hopefully other dads listening are like, okay, I'm not alone. Okay, I'm going to apply that. That's a great idea. Or, okay, I guess I am doing okay. Stuff like that.
Yeah, I think that's the big thing, is just getting encouragement.
That's really all we're
especially because for us, we both have young kids.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so I don't even know yet if you have kids. I think we're going to find out. Right?
We're all grown up. Yeah.
Okay, but it's so encouraging for us to hear from men who have been through it before, because sometimes it feels like a war zone, and it's like, oh gosh, what does this look like?
Yeah, and sometimes too, Bruce, I'm sure we'll get to this. I mean, hopefully Blake briefed you on some of this, but it's wins and lessons, not wins and losses, right? It's kind of cute and pithy language, but it might have felt like a loss to us in the moment, but prayerfully it's a lesson that we've learned, and maybe we weren't able to fix it in the moment as a dad, but maybe us sharing now can help other dads to learn from where we might have taken an L or what we wish we would have done different. And so all we're wanting to do is just glean and learn and share with other dads about what we're learning.
That's cool. That's what I learned just listening to the other podcast.
That's cool, man.
Didn't even know it was there.
That's cool. Well, let's start with
that
this.
should be our tagline. Didn't even know it was there.
Yeah, the best kept secret. What was life like with your dad growing up? Was your dad in the picture, not in the picture? What was your relationship like, or observation of a dad previous to
It
becoming
was
a dad yourself?
actually tough because I came from a family of 8 kids.
Oh,
you
wow.
know,
What number are you in the?
6.
Okay.
I was the 4th boy. I had 2 sisters above me, and I didn't know what it was like. Dad was gone teaching. He was a school teacher. He taught at night at Shasta College.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was tough. We'd just see Dad once in a while,
Okay.
only when he had to, discipline me, which
Might have been more often than
more
that, or
often
not?
than I would care to say. In fact, I was
Yeah.
just praying on the way here. Remind me of what it is, and all of a sudden I went,
Maybe I didn't want to know. Yeah.
maybe I didn't. But no, it was. Dad was. What I got from Dad was security. I felt safe.
Really?
I didn't feel the love that you'd always think you want your dad to give you. But then when I find out how my dad grew up, and then I realized that he didn't get it because my grandpa got ALS, which is Lou Gehrig's disease.
Oh, wow.
And Dad had, I think my dad was 12.
Okay.
And so he had to care for him, until my grandpa passed away. I think my dad was 16.
Oh, wow.
So he didn't know what it was like to be a dad.
Right.
He didn't learn from his dad because my grandpa was in World War One.
Okay.
And he was exposed to mustard gas.
Oh, wow.
And so they think that's where he got the ALS.
Okay.
Yeah, it was, had a great childhood, though. I must
Sure.
say I did, because my mom she was a sergeant in the Marines,
Oh, wow.
World War II.
Oh, wow.
So she pretty much kept us in line when Dad wasn't there. And then when
Yeah.
Dad came home, it was like, okay, those are your kids. And then he just shot an arrow in our car or broke the window with this
Yeah.
baseball or,
Yeah. When you say security, like you felt a sense of security with that, is that how you worded that?
yeah.
Is
definitely.
that from like his presence? Is that from like, well, Dad worked and provided and we had a home and that was the security? What kind of security?
Kind of like both,
Yeah.
because we had a home. We always had food
Yeah.
in the cupboard, in the refrigerator, and his presence, dads, it's
Yeah.
like they demand that
Yeah.
presence. You look at him and go, okay, he's quite a bit bigger than me, and I better, you'd think that I would have learned to
Yeah.
watch what I said, and
Yeah.
but no, that wasn't the case. Yeah.
Was there anything that you, like as a child with your dad, that you thought, I'm never going to do that as a dad, or I'm going to do that as a dad? I mean, as little kids ourselves, I'm not sure we're really thinking about being dads, maybe in the affirmative. Like, ooh, I like how my dad did that. I'm going to do. We always think of in the negative usually. Like, I'm never going to do those things. Were there some things that you gleaned?
I
watching your
want to
dad?
say I gleaned a lot from my older brothers because I had 3 older brothers.
Yeah.
And 2 of them, one spent time in prison before
Mm-hmm.
I can't even remember. And my other brother was extremely mean. And then my brother Jeff, he was, I learned so much from my brother. And he always protected me, because my dad, like I said, he'd come home from night school at 9 o'clock at night, and we were always in bed.
Yeah.
But I didn't realize until later that, all the kids that he taught would always tell me what Dad was like. And I go, wow, that's Dad? I mean, it's how kind he was and how he went out of his way to help the kids that were, failing.
Yeah.
He didn't want to kick them down the street and say, okay, the next teacher will take care of them.
Right.
You
That's really cool.
Sometimes I feel like it sounds kind of weird, but sometimes I feel like it's easier to parent or show kindness to other people's kids, like your dad, than your own, right?
Yep.
Because even my dad, it's very similar as far as not there working, not a bad guy, right? Good guy. I felt all those things. But he never said, I love you. He was never really there. I definitely got the discipline. But then he went on to be a teacher too. And, I hear all these ex-students being like, oh, he's so kind. Like he was so helpful and patient. And I never really remember that. I'm not saying my dad wasn't like that. I just don't
Right.
remember that. And I always thought, man, is it so much easier to be a parent to somebody else's kids than your own?
Yeah. I really think it is. I had no clue what that was like because I just thought I thought we were millionaires.
Really?
You know, until I would go to one of the kids down the street and they had like 9 people living in a 500 square foot house.
Right.
And then, wow, we are millionaires.
Wow. Yeah, do you think that's because we probably have less expectations for someone else's kids or the students we're teaching? You know, like the bar is pretty low.
Yeah.
Yes, that's a good point. And also, I think it's because, well, a couple things. Number one, in my own kids, I see myself. And that's what drives me crazy is they'll do something and I'll see myself in there. And so I can get harder on them. I could be so hard on my kids. But I really have a very difficult time being hard on your kids.
Sure.
Right? Because number one, they're not my kids. I don't see them all the time.
Yeah.
Yep.
Plus-
Likewise, though,
yeah,
I feel the same way with your. There's some things in my kids where I'm like, what is going? Like I'll come down harder on my kids.
Yeah, it's expectations, maybe.
and even when your kids are in the house and hanging out, than I would on your own.
Yeah,
you know,
maybe
than I
it's
would
like,
on
with
kids.
your kids, it's like, okay, if they do something, it's like, that's not my problem. that's Nathan Blank's
I'll
problem.
leave
But
that
my
to
kids,
the
I was like,
Blank.
oh, no, I got this problem, you know?
Send them out the door.
So how many kids do you have, Bruce? Like,
I have 2 boys
Okay.
and a daughter.
Okay.
And I've been married 3 times. I'm on my 3rd one right now.
Okay.
And the first, I always thought the father just was there just to pay for things and then go and play golf and go play baseball and go fishing and then come home, and that was it. And then I realized, my first wife, we were married about 6 years.
okay.
And then my son and I, my oldest boy, he's 48 now. We got along great. And then he just started his own life and didn't want anything to do with me, which that was pretty tough. And then, my second marriage, I had my son, oldest Colton. He's 26 now, and then my daughter's 24, and we have a great relationship. I mean, but I didn't realize what it was like to be a father until I read that, that how-to book, the Bible. How to be a father and how to be a husband, and that opened up every door for me, and especially my daughter, because we just had my first grandson. He was a
sweet.
year old Friday.
Oh, congratulations.
Awesome.
But they live in Daytona Beach, Florida, so that's a tough one there. But a lot of FaceTiming.
So talk to me, Bruce. Like when you said the how-to book, like opening up the Bible, at what point into your parenting career did that take place?
2004.
Okay.
I think my son was almost 5. He was 4.
Okay.
And that was when I went through the divorce.
Okay.
And that's the first time that I ever really understood the Bible. And mainly because everybody always tells me, you got to get to that lowest point in your life before you say, okay, God, I want to find out who you are. And the doors opened up. I can't even tell you how much the doors opened up. It was, Promise Keepers. That was a big thing.
Sure.
But I think then all the buddies that were in Promise Keepers, I gleaned from them how to be a dad. And just mainly just be kind, listen to them, and be involved in their lives. Because my dad never played baseball with me. I don't think I ever called playing catch or anything else, because my older brothers, he was always their coach.
Okay.
He was the head coach for all the baseball teams, all the basketball teams.
Sure.
And then I came around, and I think he was tired. I think, can you
Felt
imagine?
like he had put in his time or something.
It felt like he put in his time, until high school. But going back to my kids, is I started coaching my son in baseball. And we played basketball. And every time he wanted to go play catch, it was like, you'd be tired. Okay, let's go play catch.
Yeah.
Let me pitch to me, and let's go play some pony, basketball.
Yeah.
And every time he would ask, I would say, yeah. I knew that he needed that, especially with his mom and I, divorcing. And I knew I had to step up and be a father who I didn't understand what it was to be like.
So does it, maybe a stupid question, but does that matter? Like playing, like just basic stuff like spending time with your kids where you just play catch for 10 minutes consistently maybe, and it goes to other things too, but does that really matter? And like how much does it really matter long term now that you're older and having a relationship with your kid?
I'm pretty happy I did.
Yeah.
You know, I'm very happy because, you know, my son Colton was really good at baseball. I mean, like really good. He was all-star all the time. And I just wanted to encourage him to have fun. And I knew he was having fun. Mm-hmm. And he had friends that he met. And then it went from there. You know, it's like you don't understand until you're there and you're looking at. When you look back now, I'm so thankful I did. Mm-hmm. You know, I'm so thankful I did.
I feel like maybe we're all different, but that stuff matters to me, and not just because that sounds like that's the right answer, but I remember times like, I think I've talked about this before, and I know there are all circumstances we don't know about our dads and what they're coming home from and what they just encountered at work, but there were times where I remember wanting to play catch and asking, and it was like, no, not now, I'm tired.
Yeah.
And I'm coming in with this expectation. I've been waiting all day. You're home. Let's do this. And it's like, no, I can't, buddy. I'm too tired. I'm like, what? Like, now, in my little peanut brain, I don't understand what he just dealt with, the meeting he just came from, the calls he just took, you know, whatever, just walked into his office. And sure, he was spent. But now I work so hard to try to say yes every time. Every time. Yep. And there are times where I try to articulate more than just like, no, I'm just tired. You know, like, hey, I just came from this or that, or can we do this in 10 minutes? I gotta check in with mom real quick, or your other brothers and sister asked me to do these 3 things. I'm trying to give more of an explanation of like, it's not just a clean no. There's other things at play here. And I just got a text from a friend this weekend who had a long soccer tournament all day Saturday with his daughter. He's home. He's got 3 boys and a girl. Wife is taking some time away, maybe with the daughter. And there's one son of his that we just talked on Friday, one son of his that he's just struggling to connect with. They love each other. They care for each other. They just have differences, you know, different interests. And this one son, he sees him like out in the yard, just picked up a baseball glove and a baseball and just throwing it to himself, right? And my friend Jeff's doing the dishes and stuff, and he's spent. He's been at the soccer field all day from, 6 in the morning till 7 at night, and he just knows, I bet Lincoln's going to come in and ask me to play catch. And he's battling in his brain, do I want to do this? I'm exhausted. And Lincoln, sure enough, comes in and says, hey, Dad, do you want to play catch? And Jeff says, absolutely, bud. Let's go play catch. And Lincoln barely picks up a baseball, barely picks up a glove. But this one moment, it just happened. And Jeff texts me later that night, and he's like, buddy, you never guess what happened. Remember I was talking with you Friday about Lincoln, blah, blah. He came in, asked to play catch, and now that's all he wants to do. He just he found a moment, an opportunity to, and we're talking about, it just happens to be catch, the very thing the 3 of us are talking about right now. But I think those moments of saying yes, we don't know what kind of seed that plants or what kind of fruit that's going to bear later. And maybe it's not a love for baseball, but maybe it's it's just a connection point, right, between you and your son, exactly. that shared experience, you think?
To watch a baseball game together.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, sometimes just rooting. Thankfully, we're rooting for the same team. But.
Yeah. I think that helps when the interest is something you're also interested in. You know, we talked about this before, Nathan, when our daughters come in and they're like, hey, do you want to play house with me or do you want to play baby dolls? And it's like, do you want to play catch? You know, it's a little different. But sometimes we got to sacrifice. I think this is going to mean more to them than it means to me. And I got to try and find a way to make that happen.
I think it's so crazy that we would even say, like, we have to learn to sacrifice when we're trying to do something like playing catch with our son or spending time with our kids, because I think deep down we all know that this is a moment in time.
Yes.
Right? And before you know it, our kids are all going to be out of the house.
Yep.
And we're going to be begging for just one more catch with our child.
Yeah.
But it's so you know, sometimes it's so hard in life to get around all the rush and the tasks and the things we have to do and to make room for what's important. And sometimes I think it's hard for us to even try to remember what it's like to be a kid and what's important to them.
Yeah.
Like playing catch with their dad is like the most important thing to them.
Yeah, or playing Barbie, or playing house, or whatever.
Or playing Barbie or
you know,
house.
whatever the thing is. Like, it's easier for us to say yes to catch than it is to playing baby dolls
for sure.
with our daughters.
Yeah,
but-
for sure. And I want to do all that stuff, but my the thing I don't have is time. Even 10 minutes, 20 minutes,
Yeah.
I feel like is such a precious commodity, and I hate that. I hate the fact that I have to try to figure out how I can even manage 20 minutes out of my afternoon. That's no way to live.
Right.
And I think that's a struggle for me, like being a dad, is trying to figure out how I can make time for what's important, make time for the most important things in my life.
Well, let me ask you this, Bruce. Like before we really started this conversation, you were coming into the studio office here, and you said, "I'm retired now, and I'm doing all these chores," right? And you had said, "I don't know how I had time to do it before." Like, do you have any pearls of wisdom you could give us dads who feel like we don't have, like, how do we make time?
You know what?
For our kids? And I'm not sure if you did it right or did it wrong, but like, what would be your encouragement or suggestion?
Make a list.
Yeah.
I tell you what, make a list, and then when I cross it off, and then I realized that wasn't so hard.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and like you were talking about your daughter, I think it was easy for me to say yes to my daughter.
Really?
Because she'd cry if I didn't.
Yeah.
You know, like painting my toenails, or
Sure.
because she painted my toenails and then hid all the nail polish remover.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I went out in the garage and took some acetone, and then she cried, and I went, "Okay, go ahead and paint my nails."
Yeah.
But that it was. Now I'm very, very thankful that I took that time, because you'll look back and it seemed like just yesterday that they were all in the house, and now they're all gone. And sometimes I really have a hard time. I'll go out in the backyard and cry a little bit, because I go, if they were just here, you know, I would play catch. I would go play some pony, you know, or play Barbie doll.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
You know, and you just realize that time's going to be over.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, and I look now and it's like, you know, I'm going to be 67. I go, I don't even know where that went.
Yeah.
You know, I have no clue.
Yeah. I think the hard thing that I'm always want to communicate to my kids, when it is a no for the thing that they're asking for, and in my mind, it's probably a no because of time.
Yeah.
Right. I want to articulate that it's a time issue. It's not like an interest issue or it's not a you problem. It's a time problem.
It's time.
So if it's a no, I want my kid as clear as I can. I want to be able to articulate so they understand this is not a personal thing against you. It's not a lack of desire to want to hang with you, but like, buddy, I'm here for 10 minutes and I got to slam some food, and then I got to get your other sibling to their practice across town. Like, I don't have the time right now, but can we find time, you know, later on? I got one kid right now just super into, I turned them on to this Disneyland documentary this last weekend. And this is my entrepreneur kid. This is my kid that dreams and plans experiences for everything. And he was like, "What is this, Dad? This is incredible." And then I told him how there's also this docu-series of like hour episodes of everything behind the scenes of Disneyland and Imagineering and building right. He's like, "Can we watch that right now?" And I'm like, "Buddy, listen, it's a no for right now, but I want so badly to watch this with you. We can't do it right now because we've got blah, 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 you know, all the things. We don't have an hour that you and I can give to this, but we will find a time to do this." And I kind of let that go. Then later, the next day he comes to me, he's like, "Dad, when do you think we could do this thing, you know, that you said we could?" I said, "Buddy, let me think about this for a second. I'm going to have to look at my schedule and talk to Mom, but I think we can shoot for Thursday and Friday. Maybe we can find an hour together." Like, I want them to know, I don't want to give the enemy too much credit in this, but sometimes I think we can sabotage ourselves. When we get a no from someone, we take it personal. We think they don't like me. We think they're not interested in me. And the kids, man, I think the enemy eats at our kids in letting them know, Dad doesn't care. You're the black sheep of the family. You're the outcast. Your other siblings are more important, you know? And so I want to make it as clear as possible to my kids, my why behind my response. So I want to leave no room for the enemy to fill it with lies, or for them to fill it with negative self-thought or something. And so I'm a lot of my no's are because of time, but
Yeah.
I want my kids to know it's because of time. It's not because I'm not interested.
Yeah, that's good. You just gotta like let them know. But it's so hard because I had to look at the schedule. I was like, okay, no, I have to pencil you in for like a game of catch. Hold on, let me see. I can get you.
Yeah, but I
4 and
that does
5.
feel not, that doesn't feel loving or relational.
No, yeah.
But I want to believe that communicates to them like
You're
we are
important.
interested. Like, yeah, we're gonna make this happen,
Yeah.
bud. And there are some things it's like, yeah, I should totally ditch this next meeting to go play catch. But then there are some meetings that are like, dude, this is not more important than you, but this has to happen, and then we can.
Yeah, but
then we can play catch.
listen, I just wish my kids would be a little more reasonable, right? It'll be like, it'll be 9:30 at night. We just got home
Yes.
from doing something the whole day,
we just gave the whole day to them.
Yeah, and it's like 9:30 of the night, and they're like, "Hey, Dad, can you take me to go to the park and like take some ground balls over at K2?" I was like, "No,
Yeah.
it's
What are you
9:30."
talking about, dude? We're
Well, why
going to
not?
bed.
Why not? He said, "Well, because number one, it's nighttime,
The lights aren't on over there.
and it's like, do you?"
headlights.
Sometimes I'm like, "Do you even like understand like
Do you live in this planet?
what's
Like,
going
what are-
on here?"
Yeah,
Yeah, one thing I could say that I did with my son that I just remember is that we went camping. It was just he and I, and we took our guns, we took the bow, we went fishing, we sat around the campfire, and it was just he and I, and what the conversation we had was like, it covered everything.
Wow.
And it was, and I'm thankful we did it because every once in a while your phone will have memories of this
Oh, yeah.
time, and I went, wow, we had a good time.
That's
it was
cool.
only 3 days, but just camping, look at the stars, and just
Yeah.
talking about life and being a
yeah, that's all the distractions are gone.
all gone, no phones.
So were you and your kids? Did you enjoy the same things? Did you have the same hobbies?
Yeah,
Yeah, that makes it
Easier?
easier, right? Because then you're just hanging
Yeah.
out. Whereas I think growing up, my dad and I couldn't be more different. I was about sports. I was about being outside, kicking or punching or throwing anything. My dad was an academic, right? He was into books and learning and math and.
Yep.
I was doing Olympics. He was doing math Olympics or whatever, right?
My dad.
And so
He
it
was a mathlete.
Yeah, it was different.
a mathlete.
Yeah,
he was a mathlete. He's
Yeah,
like
yeah.
legit a mathlete. Yeah.
I've never heard that.
I wonder. Gosh, I don't know. Do you have like Nathan? Are your kids all like pretty similar? I know a lot of them are. Maybe some of them aren't. Like, how do you deal with that?
The differences, well, dude, you've taught me a lot about. Nathan's a great. First of all,
That's
he's
true.
an
Yes, this
intellect.
is all
He's an
true.
intellect. Don't get it twisted, buddy. You read so many books. You've handed me more
It's comic books. It's
and-
just comic
no.
books.
But you've taught me so much about. Nathan's a great conversationalist. Just conversing. I'm like, dude, how do you do this? Like the last 3 years, 5 years, I've been just trying to learn from like, how do I be like Nathan in conversation? And you've told me a lot about. I just try to find things that I'm genuinely interested in that they're interested in. Like finding their like I try to converse about things that I'm like curious about. And so there are aspects of all 4 of my kids where maybe I'm more aligned in, like personality or interests and stuff. But then even the things that I'm not as interested in, or I'm not as what are the words? Just that there are differences. I'm trying to find something that's interesting about the thing that you're passionate about.
Yeah,
Does that make sense?
yeah,
I'm just
definitely
kinda
does, yeah.
I
word
think you have
scrambled there,
to.
but
Yeah, you have to find. Listen,
I want to know how their mind works.
Yeah, you have to know how
I want to
mind
know
works.
how their heart works. Like, whoa, okay, well, I'm not interested in playing this game, but how did you think to even design it that way? Or what was the, what were you inspired by to go and do this? Or to, how are you pulling those stats out of your brain? Like I don't read stats. How do you remember those things? I don't know. I'm just trying to like, I'm just trying to be curious, I guess, if that makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah, and I think a lot of times too is everybody gives the kid the video game and the phone, and they play for that, and they don't interact with them.
Yeah,
and then they don't know how to interact with people, and
Yeah.
other kids, and unless they're playing the same video
That's
game.
totally true.
Yeah.
And I will say also, I was thinking about this when you were talking about your relationship with your kids now, is it really is true, I think, and that's the one thing I try to remember is the seeds you're sowing now to build a relationship with your children are going to pay off when they're adults, and you want to like be friends with them, because I've definitely seen instances where parent didn't invest around as a kid, they weren't there, and then when the kid grew up, the parent had probably grown up a little bit too and was like, oh, I want to have this relationship with my kid, but you didn't do any of the legwork. Mm-hmm. Do you know what I mean? It's you're trying to reap something that you never sowed and you never watered and never grew. Mm-hmm. And so I think that one thing that I try to remind myself about is, just keep watering that plant and trying to grow that plant, and like it's going to be a healthier like plant when you want. Because I think the dream for like us is going to be so cool, don't you think? Is like, what about when we're older and our kids are like in their 20s and 30s and 40s, and we get to go sit at a baseball game or hang out with our kids when they're adults?
Yeah, I think that's all we're doing right now for you and I, Nathan, at these ages. I'm just trying to like make investments to get a return like 20 years from now. I'm building relationship now so that I can have a voice and an ear to their life 20 years from now. Like that's I'm just looking at this as like a long-term investment of relationship.
Well, that,
hopefully.
and then you can go live in their back bedroom.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping. I'm hoping one of them runs Disneyland himself and then provides a space for me to live. Yeah. Bruce, when you think about, I mean, I don't know that you ever stop being a parent. I don't know. Let me say this. I don't know that you ever stop being a dad.
No.
But when you think about if we want to talk in terms of career, and when you think about your career as a dad, what is, maybe it's not one thing, and maybe we've already touched on some of them, but like, what would be like a big win when you look back, and what would be like a big lesson that you've learned that maybe you can share and encourage Nathan and I and other dads in? But it doesn't have to be in that order, whichever way you want to talk about it.
I know. I've always thought about that. I go, it's hard to separate the two, and then I realized, but I think the biggest win for me is like being able to listen. Like the Bible tells you, be slow to speak and quick to listen, and I realize now they want to be heard. They want you to slow down a little bit and listen to what they're talking about and what they enjoy. And that's one thing that when you only see the kids, I would see them half the time, so I would get them, and then when they weren't there, I'd realize I have to spend more time listening to them, what they want to do, not what I want them to do. I want, okay, we're going to go do this. It's like, what do you want to do? My son, like, he would always want to play ball, or fishing, and I'm really thankful that we did. And then my daughter, now she was a cheerleader, so she always wanted me to watch her cheer for, she played, she went to Shasta High School. And I loved going to all those football games. I did. I mean, all the parents I got to know. In fact, a lot of the parents come here to Little Country.
Oh, that's cool.
So we have that already together. But, now my daughter, I mean, she's a very incredible mom. I mean, I just listen to how they treat their son and what she feeds him, and how they always, her and her husband, eat off the same plate. They cook dinner, but they'll just eat, and then while the other one's feeding my grandson. And then I realized, wow, she really listened to a lot. Because when she was younger, I told her how I was and what I was like. Because, I grew up between 4 sisters. So I got to hear what girls wanted to hear. And that's not a good thing, not at all. So I told her what I was like, and that's what to avoid with these men, these guys. And the man she's married now was the first guy she's ever dated. And I think she was 19 when they first dated. And then they ended up, she went to San Diego State University, and he was in the Marines.
Oh, wow.
And she went down there just to be near him. Little did I know that they were going to move from there to Utah. And I prayed every day for them to get married, to go to a courthouse, get married before a judge, maybe later have a ceremony. So when we went back to Utah for her to graduate, her boyfriend, I thought, You know, about the fourth hole, I asked him, I said, well, when are you going to marry my daughter? And his face turned white.
Oh, no.
And I went, oh, no, they're going to break up.
Uh-huh.
And he looked at the ground. He goes, well, we got married 2 years ago.
Oh, no
I
way.
go, what? I've been praying for the past 2 years for you guys to get married. And I go, but I know no prayers ever wasted. But I realized then, I go, wow, she listened, you know, and it was, you know, it
She just didn't tell you.
No.
Yeah.
Well, they wanted to have, see, her mom was really upset.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
Really upset.
Yeah.
And he thought I was going to be upset. He thought I was going to punch him.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
He really
Yeah,
did.
Yeah.
And I go, I was so happy. I told him, I ran up, gave him a hug. I said, man, I'm so happy.
Yeah.
I go, I was about crying on the golf course. And, you know,
Wow.
you don't cry on the golf course.
Yeah.
Everybody looks at you kind of funny then. But
What would your kind of follow up on the listening aspect? How would you encourage us to be like? How do we listen? Like, can you give me like an example or a scenario in which like you listen to your kids, or like what is that? What would that look
turn the
like?
TV off.
I was gonna
Okay.
say.
Yeah,
I was gonna say. Put down the phone.
Put down
Yeah.
the phone, the TV, maybe go outside, don't pick the baseball up.
Yeah.
And talk about life.
Yeah.
You know, because it's, you know, I've made lots of mistakes in my life, you know, and I guess they always say you learn by your mistakes, right? Which I did.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I just never stuck my finger in that light socket again. You know,
Yeah.
but
Yeah. Somebody always told me, if you're smart, you learn from other people's mistakes. If you're a little bit slower, like me, you learn from your own mistakes.
Oh yeah.
So I think even telling them about your mistakes is, hey, don't do this kind of stuff, right? I pray all the time, Lord, please, I don't want my kids to learn the same hard way I did. Would they never even go down that road? You know?
yeah.
Were you pretty open with your kids about your mistakes, Bruce?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, by far. Even with their mom, you know, because I was selfish. You know, it was my time. I worked, I paid for the bills, and whenever it was time to go skiing or golfing or whatever, I just went. And then until finally I didn't realize how selfish I was until I had to look back. And then I realized, wow, okay, I wouldn't have liked me either. You know?
So what was it that really got you to understand your selfish enough to actually like make change? You know, was it a gradual thing? Was it one thing where you were like, oh, I don't want to be this person, or like, or is it just a maturity over time? What is it?
It was going to court, divorce, and having my wife bring her friends, and I pretty much attacked, you know, and I didn't believe any of that, but at that time I did. I believed it. Oh, and maybe I am. Maybe I because she wanted to move out of town to be with her new boyfriend and take my kids, and that's when Promise Keeper stepped in. That's when God worked a miracle. But there's no way I could look at it. It's a miracle to change me from this person in the mud and, you know, thinking nothing's ever going to turn out good. And yeah, it's
So during this time, were you always a believer?
no.
So was there did it overlap between maybe like, how did that, like, tell me like how you became a believer, and like how after that, if at all, it like impacted things?
I became a believer when, like I was just saying, my life was pretty much, I thought it was going to be over. And after I attempted suicide is what it was, after that court date. And a lady that I had met, I went to high school with, was friends with the guy that started Promise Keepers, Bill McCarthy. And she called me up right in the middle of my lowest point in my life. And she hooked me up with these guys at Promise Keepers here in Redding. And they pulled me in, and man, it was, I almost want to say an overnight change in me. And whenever I accepted the Lord, when I asked for prayer after, because I was going to a neighborhood church at the time. It's the first church I ever been to in my life. And whenever they asked for who wants to be saved, who wants to start a relationship.
Sure.
And I was like, my hand went up, and I go, whose hand is that going up? And that was the start, you know. And then
How old are your kids at that point?
they were 1 and 3.
Okay.
You know, I had nothing. You know, I ended up with my house, but I had no refrigerator, no couch.
This is your middle son and daughter,
Yeah.
1 and 3, or
Yeah.
your older
My middle son.
daughter. Okay.
Yeah, and daughter. Yeah. And my daughter was 1, just a little bit over 1.
Okay.
You know, and yeah,
So you didn't grow up with any religion,
none.
and so you kind of were led to Jesus just by like kind of a rock bottom or a hey, like I've been trying to do this life by myself, and here I am at it just not working for me, and then somebody just kind of came along and planted a seed in your life. And also, I'm not familiar with Promise Keepers. Maybe talk a little bit about that.
Promise Keepers was pretty much how to be a man, how to be a father, and how to support each other and release, you know, be vulnerable. You know, it's like, okay, I'm, you know, because with guys, it's pornography or something like that. And if you struggle with it, you don't want to say anything about it.
Yeah.
And now it's like we were always there, and I think a lot of times the Holy Spirit reveals things to your friends that you don't see in yourself. And then they will either call you out or ask you about it. And then you realize, yeah. And then, you know, sometimes you could always say, oh, no, not me. But
It's accountability,
like
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and then I realized that the Holy Spirit reveals a lot to people if they slow down a little bit.
Yeah. So your younger kids, would it be safe to say they had a whole different dad than your oldest son did?
Oh, completely.
I mean, before Christ,
Mm-hmm.
oldest son, dad experience. After Christ, youngest kids,
Yep.
dad experience. Like, right?
My oldest son doesn't talk to me much because he always thought he didn't believe in organized religion.
Okay.
And I told him, I said, me neither. I don't.
Yeah.
It's not a religion. It's just what I hear everybody tell me. It's a relationship. And the more that I understand it's a relationship, the more I can stand up and be bold, you know. And he didn't want to hear it, you know, but I just still love on him, you know. I mean, and I think a lot of times, what did they say? How do we know we're Christians? By our love, you know, how we love each other and the fellowship that we have for little country church.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah, man.
Oh, yeah.
So what would be like one of your, I mean, there's a lot in here, and maybe it's not as clearly titled for you in your brain or mind, but like a lesson that you either learned or you desire to like pass on to other dads?
You know, the lesson I think that I learned is it's like those steps. You put God first.
Mm-hmm.
You put your wife second, your children third, and you towards the bottom. And when you do that, all the doors open up. You know, you don't. You know, you hear people talk about opening doors. Oh, what's that mean? You turn the doorknob and you open the door, and that's you know. But it doesn't work that way. You know, it's life is a journey. You know, pretty much. The more that you put God first, the more everything opens up for you. You know, I mean, it's not an easy. Being a Christian is not an easy thing.
Sure, yeah.
It's probably the toughest thing I've done in my life.
Yeah.
Besides being a parent.
Yeah, man.
You know, but it's not easy being a parent.
Yeah.
But especially when you have like you do, Nathan, with all your kids. You know? And I see my dad with, 8 kids. How did you raise 8 kids? We weren't Mormon. We weren't Catholic.
Yeah.
You know, nobody even talked about God. The Bible was in the drawer.
Okay.
You know, when you needed it, in case of emergency, you open
in case of emergency, crack glass.
Yeah, exactly. And you realize that's not the way to live your life.
Yeah.
To live your life. And you guys have always, you understand that more, probably more than any of us, as far as with, your dad and then your grandpa, which I was able to.
Did you know him?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, cool.
I went to, when I first was saved, I went to counseling with Les.
Oh, did you really?
And it was.
That's great.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, he's a good dude.
It's like God's opened many doors for me, because I think I've taught all your kids in the 4-year-old class.
Oh, that's cool.
And don't ask me how I ended up there. It's just like one day I went, how am I here?
Yeah.
But it's pretty cool.
Do you feel now, looking back, when you just said, like, man, how did my dad have 8 kids? Like, what's going on? Do you feel like you have a different perspective or maybe a grace looking on your dad from this vantage point, looking back, than you did?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Because I went to the high school that my dad taught at.
Oh, okay.
And Dad was a track coach, and I played football, and that's when I first realized that, because Dad was the announcer.
Oh, okay.
And I would listen to on the radio later and how he would talk glowingly about me because I was a starting tight end.
Okay.
And I was really fast and I was pretty good. And I didn't realize that he never said that to me personally.
Just on the airwaves.
Just on the airwaves.
Yeah.
And then I realized that, he did love me.
Yeah,
He did. And then I ran track, and I was really good at track. Pole vault, long jump, triple jump. And then I realized Dad was like all-state high hurdler.
Oh, wow.
At Huntington Park, high school and everything. I didn't realize that until I went through, because when Dad and Mom passed away, I went through all the stuff, and I found all these ribbons from like the 30s, and I go, Dad was good. He really was, and it was pretty cool.
That's awesome.
And then
man.
it brings back, and I realized whenever I got older, Dad loved me, and he would tell me he loved me all the time. But see, when he got dementia, I would show up every day at lunch and just sit and talk with him. A lot of the same stories.
Sure,
but that's okay.
Yeah.
He didn't realize,
Yeah.
No.
That's awesome, Bruce. Hey, I'm really grateful you came in, even as nervous or anxious or relative.
Very nervous. It's not easy thinking.
This was painless, right? Come on.
Completely.
Yeah.
Because I see all you guys all the time, but it's just like, okay, can I remember everything?
And I want to say that. Sorry, do you have anything?
No.
I want to say this as we head out here. But Bruce, I'm so grateful, and I think Nathan as well, like for you and who you are, and the smiling face, and like just the tender spirit you carry when you greet all of us coming into church, and the way you get excited when you see my kids, whether they're reciprocating that excitement or shy and drawn back. Like I'm so grateful, man. It's really
I know.
It's really
I'm where
special.
God wants me to be.
Thank you, man.
Well, I think like it's true, but I think there's more than that. You could be where God wants you to be, but you also have to be. You have to, like, you can't just be there. You got to act like it's showing up is not enough, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yesterday I showed up to church. Believe me, I did not want to be there. Mm-hmm. But I told my wife yesterday, and I was like, "Hey, like I didn't like Bruce is doing the like podcast tomorrow." And she's like, "Man, I love him, dude. He's always the most positive, like joyful person. Like he just puts me in the best mood." And the truth of the matter is I don't know why, but people like, listen, Sunday mornings are hard, especially if you have kids. It's hard getting out of the house. It's hard. Our kids were fighting all the way to church.
Yeah.
I didn't want to be there. My wife probably didn't want to be there. My kids, they don't want to go to church most days, and it's just so great to like have you be like just pumped up and like talk to my kids and just being like a nice positive person. So it doesn't, I think maybe that's kind of one of the themes maybe of today even was those small things. The small things that you do consistently on a regular basis, whether it's playing catch with your kids, encouraging your kids, having a smile, making somebody feel important. Life is a journey. Life is a journey, and we're going to be here a long time. But like those things consistently over and over and over time, they do matter and they are important. I don't think there's like, you can't just do one thing and expect. You can't just do one thing. You got to do the right thing over and over and over and over again, as a parent, right, and as whatever.
Yep.
Yeah.
And you're doing it.
Yeah.
You're doing it. That's what I think we want to say is thank you, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're doing it.
I'm very thankful I did this.
Good.
Yeah.
Would you do me a favor, Bruce? Do us a favor. Would you pray for dads listening to this and dads in our community and stuff?
Lord, I can just say we have to thank you for so much and what you've done, mainly in your spirit. But we just pray, Lord, that you just encourage the fathers that are listening to this, that they we're all different, but we're all the same in so many ways. And the thing that we've got is we have your Spirit living in us. And Lord, we just pray, Lord, that you just help us be the Father that you want us to be. And Lord, we know your word, the Bible, just will guide us and teach us how to be the Father. Because being a father is not an easy thing to do, especially in this world the way it is right now, Lord. But we know that just the peace that you can give us can do all things. Because, Lord, your word says that we can do all things through Jesus Christ, who strengthened us. And thank you for all you do. And we just ask this in your Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Thank you.
Yesterday is over and the future has come.